Have you ever considered like the sheer scale of the global fast food industry? I mean, it's huge.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about a market churning out hundreds of billions of dollars
Yeah.
every single year, all over the planet.
Mhm.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the global fast food market's growth, which is pretty explosive, and some really fascinating regional trends you see when you look at the sales data.
Yeah.
And this is all based on that comprehensive research you shared with us from Cognitive Market Research. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is that it's not just about these massive numbers, right? It's about what those numbers actually reveal.
Right.
This sales data, it paints a really vivid picture. You see evolving consumption patterns globally, significant economic shifts, just how deeply fast food has woven itself into daily life.
Yeah.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts, and help you understand where fast food is really booming around the world, and maybe where the story is a bit more nuanced.
Absolutely. So let's start with the big picture, because the scale,
Yeah.
it's genuinely staggering.
Yeah.
In 2021, the global market pulled in, what, $533.396 billion in sales.
That's the number, just for 2021.
Just 2021.
Yeah.
But that's just a snapshot, right?
Yeah.
By 2025, it's projected to climb to $653.3 billion. And then get this, an impressive $980.028 billion by 2033.
Almost $1 trillion.
Almost $1 trillion. That's a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 5.2% just between 2025 and 2033.
Yeah, and if we connect that to the bigger picture, these aren't just big figures. They signal this sustained, really robust expansion globally.
Right.
A consistent growth rate, like 5.2%. It tells you fast food isn't just some fleeting trend. It's becoming more entrenched. It's adaptable. It's part of global consumer habits now.
It means more money, more restaurants?
Exactly. More revenue, more outlets, and, presumably more customers worldwide. People are consistently drawn to the convenience, the affordability.
Okay, so with that incredible global view set, let's zoom in a bit. North America, often thought of as, the heartland of fast food. Is it still leading the charge, or are we seeing shifts even there? I mean, the region was huge, over $209 billion in 2021.
Still huge.
And projected to hit over $360 billion by 2033. That's a solid 4.676% CAGR. Still growing strong.
It is, but within North America, the story is actually quite diverse when you break it down. The United States, as you'd expect, still the largest single market, growing to nearly $240 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That's a steady 4.269% CAGR. Canada also shows strong, consistent growth, pushing past $86 billion by 2033 at a slightly higher CAGR, 5.175%.
Okay.
But what really stands out here, and this might surprise you, is Mexico.
Oh.
Its fast food market is growing at a blazing 6.458% CAGR.
That's 1%.
Yeah, jumping from just over $16 billion in 2021 to over $34 billion by 2033. That's the highest growth rate in North America by a fair bit.
That's quite an acceleration for Mexico.
Yeah.
What do you think might be fueling that kind of surge? Is it just population or?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Mexico's rapid growth, it likely points to a mix of things. You've got a burgeoning middle class,
Yeah.
more disposable income,
No.
a growing urbanization trend, and potentially just a greater openness maybe to global fast food brands catching on there.
Okay.
It suggests a market that's really in a kind of sweet spot for adoption and expansion, Compared to the more mature markets like the US and Canada, they're still growing strong, but maybe more incrementally.
Fascinating difference within the region. Yeah. Okay, now let's shift focus. Across the Atlantic to Europe. Its market revenue was around $107 billion back in 2021.
About half of North America's size then.
Yeah. And expected to climb to over $187 billion by 2033. It's a 4.728% CAGR overall for Europe. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The variety across the countries, it's a much more diverse picture.
It really is. You've got your established players like the UK and Germany, both seeing steady growth, just over 4.2% CAGR,
Okay.
growing to well over $30 billion each by 2033. France is growing similarly, about 4%. Italy, interestingly, a bit faster at 4.6%. Russia shows a slightly higher rate again, 5.264%.
Right.
But then you have Spain. Spain is truly a standout.
Okay, what's happening there?
An impressive 6.033% CAGR. It's nearly doubling its market size to almost $20 billion by 2033. That's strong. A strong indicator of shifting preferences or market dynamics there.
So strong and steady in the big traditional players, but Spain is really kind of punching above its weight there.
Exactly.
What about the extremes? Any unexpected laggards or, I don't know, hidden gems in the European data.
Oh, absolutely. For context, countries like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, they show respectable growth, mostly in that 4% to 5.5% range. Denmark's actually quite high at 5.576%. But Luxembourg really lags. It's posting the lowest regional growth, just 2.217% CAGR.
Wow, that's low.
Yeah, suggests maybe a very saturated market or perhaps just a different consumer preference there. But the true sleeper hit, and this raises a question for you to think about, is the rest of Europe category.
The catch-all.
Right. This segment, representing a mix of smaller or maybe emerging European markets, is showing the highest regional CAGR, an astounding 7.597%.
7.5%.
Yeah, increasing from just $5.4 billion to over $13 billion by 2033. This could really hint at untapped potential maybe in Eastern Europe or other non-major economies as they increasingly adopt that fast food convenience model.
Really interesting. Okay, from Europe, let's pivot to Asia Pacific, APAC. A region that, it's already massive, but it's still showing some of the most explosive growth we've seen anywhere.
It's powerhouse, no question.
The region was valued at nearly $150 billion in 2021, and it's projected to more than double, over $303 billion by 2033. That's a seriously robust CAGR of 6.081%.
It is, and within APAC, China, of course, leads the pack in size, projected to more than double its market to over $120 billion by 2033. That's a 6.796% CAGR. Very strong.
Huge numbers.
But if you're looking for exponential growth, India truly emphasizes the region's immense potential. It's posting the highest regional CAGR at an astounding 7.794%.
Whoa, almost 8%.
Almost 8% year on year. That means India's fast food market is set to more than double, easily, growing from $16.4 billion to over $40 billion by 2033. It really makes you think about how rapidly food cultures can evolve in these huge developing economies.
At 7.794% for India is incredible. Are other nations in the region following that kind of trajectory, or is it more varied?
It's more varied. While China and India are the, let's say, undeniable growth engines, other countries show more moderate growth. Still substantial, though.
Like who?
Well, Japan is at 4.456%. South Korea a bit higher, 5.863%. Australia around 4.7%. Singapore is more modest, 3.6%.
Okay.
We also see solid expansion across Southeast Asia as a whole. That's a 5.518% CAGR. Taiwan similar, 5.228%. And just like in Europe, that rest of APAC category.
Another strong one.
Yep, incredibly strong growth again, 7.294% CAGR. It just underlines how dynamic these emerging markets are across the wider Asian region.
Okay, that brings us to South America. A market there is also on a significant upward path. Maybe not quite the blistering pace of parts of APAC, but still strong, increasing from nearly $31 billion in 2021 to an estimated $58.8 billion by 2033.
That's right.
That's a healthy 5.421% CAGR overall.
Looking at South America, Brazil leads in terms of market size, projected to reach over $26.5 billion. That's a 5.219% CAGR. Pretty solid.
Okay.
Argentina also shows good progress, pushing past $9.5 billion by 2033 with a 4.943% CAGR.
But if you're looking for the regional growth stars,
yeah, who stands out?
Keep an eye on Colombia. It's surging with a 6.89% CAGR.
Almost 7% again.
Yeah. Peru's not far behind at 6.448% and Chile at 5.761%. These higher growth rates, they really suggest a growing appetite for convenience and fast food options in those specific economies.
Makes sense.
And the rest of South America also contributes with a solid 4.625% CAGR. All right. Finally, let's combine the Middle East and Africa, given their relative market sizes, but still, as you said, some impressive individual growth stories there too. The Middle East started at just over $21 billion in 2021, and it's projected to nearly double, $42.141 billion by 2033, showing the strong CAGR of 5.828%.
Yeah, and within the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is really leading the charge. It's set to grow to over $17.5 billion. That's a robust 6.482% CAGR.
Why so high there, do you think?
It likely reflects, significant investments, a rapidly modernizing economy, maybe changing social habits too.
Okay.
Other notable areas, Turkey at 5.568%, UAE almost 6%, 5.907%, Egypt at 5.456%, Qatar is a bit lower, 3.933%, and the rest of Middle East shows steady growth too, around 4.5% CAGR.
Okay, and for Africa,
yeah,
the market's smaller in absolute terms, but still showing considerable expansion, growing from nearly $15 billion in 2021 to over $27.4 billion by 2033.
Right.
That's a CAGR of 4.74% overall for the continent.
Yeah, and in Africa, Nigeria shows particularly strong expansion. It's projected to almost double its market size to over $7.2 billion by 2033. That's a 5.196% CAGR,
Okay.
which is indicative, probably, of a large growing population embracing new consumption patterns. South Africa, which is a more established market perhaps,
Right.
shows a more moderate increase, over $9 billion, but with a 3.935% CAGR. Still growth, but slower. And the rest of Africa segment is also quite robust, actually. 5.132% CAGR.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I mean, when you look at all these numbers, region by region, country by country,
Yeah,
it paints a very clear picture, doesn't it?
it really does.
The global fast food market isn't just growing. It's undergoing this robust, widespread, and pretty diverse expansion across nearly every corner of the world. It's dynamic, it's evolving fast, finding new markets, new customers all the time.
Yeah, and that raises, I think, an important question for you to consider as we wrap up.
Yeah.
As this global fast food market continues its rapid expansion, how might innovations in food tech, things like alternative proteins, delivery tech,
How might shifts in consumer values, maybe around health, sustainability, even geopolitical dynamics, how might all that shape its future trajectory?
right, what comes next?
Exactly. What unexpected changes could we see maybe in our own daily diets or in our economies as a result of this sustained global growth?
Yeah.
It's a market that clearly isn't slowing down, and its future implications, well, they're vast.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get straight to the insights. And if you've ever found yourself, grabbing a quick bite, maybe a coffee on the run, or hitting a drive-through late at night, well, then you're right in the middle of one of the most dynamic sectors on the planet. Today, we're taking a really close look, a deep dive into the global fast food market. Our mission really is to unpack what's driving its growth, what hurdles it's facing, and there's some big ones, and also the kind of surprising innovations shaping where it's headed. And this whole exploration, it's powered by fresh insights from cognitive market research. Think of it as a shortcut, really, to understanding an industry that, let's face it, touches almost everyone everywhere. You might find some real aha moments as we connect the dots. Okay, so let's unpack this massive global thing. Where does all this momentum actually come from? I think we have to start with the really big shifts in how we live, right? Urbanization and just busy lifestyles. We all see the cities getting bigger. We all feel that constant rush. But it's fascinating how fast food has almost become this invisible engine fuel. It's quick, it's convenient, it's affordable, usually a real time saver for office workers, students, commuters, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, and what's compelling there is that the simplicity, the speed, it's not just about getting food fast. It's almost a deeper cultural thing, an adaptation in modern city life. Time is, well, it's like currency, isn't it? A premium commodity. So fast food isn't just a meal. It's an economic choice. You're literally buying back your own time. It's sort of a symptom, maybe, of a society that values efficiency, sometimes over, traditional cooking or eating together.
Buying back time. Wow, that's a really powerful way to frame it. And that drive for efficiency, it's not just the food itself, it's baked right into the business model, which brings us neatly to the next big driver, the aggressive expansion of fast food franchises. You see these global giants, even strong regional players, using franchising to scale up incredibly quickly. They just pop up everywhere, don't they? And they offer that consistent taste, that reliable value. It really appeals, especially to younger people and in emerging economies where incomes are rising. It's kind of a genius strategy for global reach, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Total genius. The franchise model, its strength lies in standardization. It enforces that consistent quality over huge distances. You know exactly what burger, what fries you're getting, whether you're in, say, Beijing or Birmingham.
Right.
And that consistency builds enormous trust, huge brand loyalty, especially for trying it maybe for the first time in a new market. Plus, crucially, it lets them scale like wildfire without the main company having to front all the operational costs directly. It's a huge part of why they're everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. But just being everywhere isn't quite enough, is it? They need people walking in or driving through again and again. So how do they do that? A lot of the time it boils down to, well, price. That irresistible pull of affordable pricing and combo deals. This really hits the core consumer appeal, I think. Those value menus, the limited time offers, bundle deals. They're super effective at drawing in crowds looking for a bargain. And somehow the brands manage to keep pretty strong margins while doing it.
It's a very, very delicate balancing act. You've got the perceived value for the customer on one side and the need for solid profit for the company on the other, offering a whole meal at a good price point. That often nudges people to buy more than they might have otherwise.
Right. Upselling, basically.
Exactly. It pushes up the average spend per customer. And this clever balance, it's not just some marketing trick. It's absolutely fundamental to the market's, ongoing success and growth.
Okay. But, like we hinted, it's not all just growth and smooth sailing for fast food. Despite the impressive numbers, there are some pretty significant roadblocks, and maybe the biggest one, the one gaining the most traction, is health and nutrition concerns. We're just seeing so much more awareness now about the risks, linked to high-calorie, highly processed foods. And that awareness, it definitely seems to be making more people think twice, maybe limit how often they eat fast food, especially when you connect it to rising rates of things like obesity, diabetes, heart disease. It really encourages people to rethink their choices.
And what's fascinating there is how these big public health trends are now directly challenging the established fast food business models. This isn't some niche concern anymore, it's mainstream. It's a real shift in what consumers value and expect. So it's forcing these huge chains to genuinely adapt, change their menus, their marketing, everything really. They have to respond to people wanting healthier options, or at least options perceived as healthier.
Right, the perception matters too. And then layered on top of that, it's just intense competition within the sector itself. It's really fierce out there. You've got the global giants battling each other, plus countless local startups, regional chains. Everyone's fighting for your money. They're locked in these struggles over price, menu innovation, and that tricky thing called customer loyalty. All that pressure, it squeezes margins, leads to thinner profits, and maybe even what you could call brand fatigue, where people just feel overwhelmed by choice or get tired of the same old brands, always looking for something new. It's a constant battle for market share.
Yeah, but that intense competition, it's not just a negative. It's also a powerful driver in a way. It forces constant innovation. New menu items, more efficient operations, better tech.
True.
But it can also lead to big shakeups like market consolidations. Smaller, maybe more innovative, players get bought up or the big guys merge to get an edge. It creates this really dynamic, sometimes pretty brutal environment where, only the most adaptable really drive.
Survival of the fittest, almost.
Yeah.
And then there's this other growing factor you just can't ignore. Government regulations. We're seeing specific rules popping up all over the place, restrictions on food labeling, on certain ingredients, even on advertising. Things like banning marketing aimed at kids or those mandatory calorie counts you see everywhere now.
Yeah, right on the menu boards.
Exactly. And these rules, they definitely add costs for the businesses, compliance costs. And they can really constrain how companies promote themselves, forcing them to rethink their whole public image.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it's clear the public policy, consumer protection, they're actively reshaping how these fast food companies operate. These aren't just small tweaks, they're fundamental shifts. They require serious investment in, say, reformulating products, redesigning packaging, rethinking entire marketing campaigns just to comply. It changes their supply chains, how they talk to customers, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so despite all those challenges, health, competition, regulations, the industry is anything but stuck. In fact, it's evolving incredibly fast. Which brings us to some really interesting innovations. First off, the huge rise of health-conscious and plant-based menus. You actually see fast food chains embracing this now, like wholeheartedly, introducing vegan burgers, gluten-free options, lower-calorie meals. So what does that actually mean for the menus you see today? Well, they look vastly different than they did even, say, 10 years ago. And it's all a strategic move, right? To stay relevant, attract those health-savvy customers.
It really signifies a fundamental rethink of what fast food can even be. It goes way beyond just adding, like, one token veggie burger.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing this deep shift in what people want, catering to a much wider range of diets, ethics, even environmental worries. It's really changing the core identity of what you can grab at a drive-thru.
Another total game changer. The massive growth in digital ordering and delivery. The impact of apps, online ordering, contactless payments. It's undeniable how much that's changed how we get fast food. And companies are scrambling to respond, investing huge amounts in things like cloud kitchens, those, ghost kitchens just for delivery, and loads of tech infrastructure, all to make the customer experience smoother and delivery faster, more efficient.
And this raises a really important question, I think, about what a fast food restaurant even is anymore. It's shifting way beyond just the physical building. These cloud kitchens mean food prep can happen in optimized, unseen locations purely for delivery. That fundamentally changes the real estate needs of these businesses and even how customers interact with the brand.
Yeah.
It becomes less about the place, maybe, and more about just efficient consumption.
Efficient consumption. That's interesting. And finally, something that maybe feels surprising but is becoming critical. Sustainability is taking center stage. You see brands really trying to go green now. Eco-friendly packaging, trying to improve how they source ingredients. It feels like a big shift for an industry often, linked with disposable stuff and large-scale operations, but it seems they have to do it now to meet the expectations of consumers who care more about the environment and are voting with their wallets.
Absolutely. Sustainability is quickly moving from just a nice-to-have trend to a critical business imperative. It's almost table stakes now. Consumers are increasingly looking at a company's environmental footprint when they decide where to spend their money. So brands have to genuinely weave these values into their whole operation, from sourcing ingredients right to waste management. It's not optional anymore. It's part of your brand identity.
So when we pull it all together, what we've unpacked today is this incredibly dynamic global fast food market. It's being pushed forward by huge changes in how we live, using smart business models like franchising, but it's also navigating really significant headwinds like health concerns and intense competition. And all the while, it's constantly transforming itself with, plant-based options, digital tech, and a serious, surprising move towards sustainability.
Yeah, these insights really show an industry that's in constant motion. It's shaped by everything from our personal schedules and tech gadgets to global health trends and shifting consumer values. It's a sector that really mirrors so many of the bigger changes happening in the world. It's actually a fascinating lens for understanding global trends, I think.
Which leaves us with maybe a final provocative thought for you to chew on. What does fast food even really mean anymore when it might be plant-based, come in sustainable packaging, and arrive at your door via an app? Is convenience still its main defining feature? Or is something maybe more profound evolving here, pushing it beyond just a quick meal into, some new kind of essential service? Lots to think about. Keep that curiosity sizzling and keep that appetite for knowledge fresh.